In a desolate, ruined city drenched by ceaseless rain, a lone figure navigates the rubble. The only sounds are the splashing of its heavy, mechanical footsteps and the distant patter of rain on shattered concrete and metal. The figure is revealed to be a robot, its metallic face partially obscured by a hood. It's Rainy, who continues to walk through the downpour, seemingly unaffected by the harsh environment. Amidst the destruction, Rainy is drawn to the sound of a wail. There, lying on a dirty cloth amongst the debris, is a crying, abandoned baby. Rainy logically assesses the situation, identifying the infant as an orphan left dangerously close to a combat zone. With a metallic sigh of good grief, it seems to make a reluctant decision. As Rainy gently picks up the infant, the baby's cries escalate into a piercing wail, clearly terrified by its robotic rescuer. Walking through the ruins with the screaming baby in its arms, a visibly annoyed Rainy tells it to have some patience. The robot seems completely unprepared for childcare. Rainy attempts to find a solution by asking a heavy-set survivor about an orphanage. The man scoffs at the idea, stating that such places closed long ago and no one has time to look after children anymore. With no other options apparent, Rainy decides to call for help. It pulls out a communication device, muttering that it will have to ask her, and places a call. The person on the line, a female mercenary with long blonde hair, answers from the middle of a firefight. She yells that she has her hands full with an expedition, having just found a large drone nest. After the call is abruptly cut, Rainy is left standing alone in the rain with a still crying baby. With another sigh of good grief, the robot realizes it's on its own. Rainy carries the baby through a creaking door into a dilapidated building, which it identifies as its camp. It's a sparse and functional shelter, not a home. Inside the camp, Rainy says it needs a minute and rummages through its supplies. It pulls out a box labeled B.Skin, identifying its contents as a human-type bioskin. Without its coat, Rainy's bare endoskeleton is revealed. It places the still unsettled baby inside the now empty bioskin box and prepares to apply the skin, musing that a mission reward it didn't ask for has finally come in handy. The transformation begins. With mechanical sounds of twisting and clicking, the bioskin attaches to Rainy's chassis. A close-up shows its eye activating with a soft glow. The transformation is complete. Rainy, now appearing as a young woman with blonde hair, holds the baby. The infant, no longer crying, reaches out and touches her new face. "Do you like me better now?" she asks, taking the baby's quiet curiosity as a yes. Holding the baby, Rainy realizes their next immediate need is food. Deciding this should be enough for now, she places the baby down and prepares to leave, telling it to wait for her. As Rainy turns to go, the baby, now clearly attached to her, reaches a small hand out towards her, not wanting to be left alone. Seeing the baby's distress, Rainy pauses. She gently takes the tiny hand in her own, partially robotic one, reassuring the infant. "Don't worry," she promises, "I'll be back." Carrying a large case on her back, Rainy walks out into a bustling, sunlit street market. It's a world away from the desolate ruins where she found the baby, filled with people and androids going about their day. As she walks through the crowded street, the same female mercenary from the phone call greets her with a cheerful "Hey there." The mercenary asks if Rainy is out for business or pleasure. When Rainy replies business, the mercenary looks around and asks, "Alone? Where's the kid?" Rainy simply states she was heading over to meet him. The mercenary tells Rainy to stop by the shop sometime. The scene then cuts back to the wasteland, a stark reminder of the danger that constantly surrounds them. Meanwhile, in another part of the ruins, a young man with spiky hair, armed with a rifle, cautiously navigates the treacherous alleys. Suddenly, a heavy, bipedal combat drone stomps into view, its mechanical footfalls echoing as it begins a destructive charge through the deserted street. The young man takes cover and tries to taunt the drone, calling it a big piece of scrap. But to his surprise, the machine ignores him completely, continuing its rampage in the wrong way. The man looks on in shock, realizing it's not targeting him, but simply running wild. The young man gives chase, desperately shouting at the rampaging drone. He questions if its behavior module is fried as it continues its destructive path towards the city, ignoring his pleas to stop. From high above on a ruined skyscraper, an unknown figure takes aim. A powerful, ring-shaped projectile is fired towards the rogue drone. The shot hits its mark, and the drone is blown to pieces. The young man is stunned, wondering where the support fire came from, as he hadn't reached the rendezvous point yet. In a different area, the young man tries to get the attention of another drone, a large Cyclopes-like model. He waves his arms, yelling for the oversized tin-can to follow him. The sniper reveals herself to be a member of the Hawkeyes, a girl in powered armor wielding a massive rifle. She proudly states they couldn't let the drone reach the city and then asks an unseen person, presumably Rainey, if she could have taken the shot herself. After her comrade confirms her order, the Hawkeyes member declares it's time to get back to patrolling for justice. However, Rainey, watching from afar, comments that it wasn't her kill to take, implying it was the Hawkeyes' responsibility. Elsewhere, a black car moves through the city. Inside, a maid asks a wealthy-looking lady with long blonde hair if something is wrong, as the lady has just suggested they take a detour. The rich lady closes her eyes, explaining that she doesn't want to get in the way of the commotion, nor have anyone get in their way. Her driver seems exasperated by the decision. With a sigh, the rich lady looks out the window, remarking on how hectic the world has become. The scene shifts to the female mercenary, who exits a car in the ruins and activates a handheld device. The device detects a rampant, autonomous drone nearby. A hooded figure next to her asks if they should make it cry, but the mercenary sharply tells him not to be stupid. A man with long hair and sunglasses, likely the leader of the group, states coolly that they don't steal jobs from other mercenaries, implying they will leave this drone to someone else. The story jumps forward in time. Rainey is now on a mission with her son, the baby she rescued, who is now a young man. She chides him for missing the rendezvous point and tells him to provide cover fire, but he insists it wasn't his fault. As Rainey dashes towards their target, her son lays down a barrage of covering fire. In a fluid motion, Rainey leaps onto the back of the large combat drone, landing with a heavy slam and taking aim at its head. She unloads her weapon into the drone's critical systems at point-blank range, causing immense damage. With a final, powerful blast, Rainey completely destroys the drone's head, neutralizing the threat. As she lands from the explosion, Rainey suddenly trips, losing her footing. Her son watches in surprise from distance. Rainey tumbles and crashes to the ground. She gets up, explaining that her internal balancer is malfunctioning and she'll need to get it repaired again. Lying on the ground as the rain starts to fall again, Rainey weakly reaches a hand towards the sky. Her son rushes to her side, a concerned smile on his face. He reaches out a hand to help her up, asking, "You okay there, Ma?" Surprised by him calling her Ma, Rainey looks up at her son and simply thinks, "What?" A brief flash shows her in her original, fully robotic form, highlighting the contrast with her current situation. She takes his hand. As he helps her up, he looks at her and comments on how much she has grown. She quietly replies, "Nothing," while giving his hand a squeeze. As they walk home in the rain, her son asks where her comment came from, but she just tells him it was nothing. He jokes that he wouldn't want her to get rusty, but she confidently replies that she won't. They arrive at a cluttered workshop where the old mechanic is reading a newspaper. He addresses Rainey as young lady, but she corrects him by presenting her ID chip, which displays her robotic form, stating, "It's me." The old mechanic sighs, disappointed that it's really her and not some new young lady. He gets straight to business, asking what she wants. Rainey clarifies that it's her, just wearing a bioskin. Without wasting words, Rainey makes a cupping gesture over her flat chest and states bluntly, "I need a chest." The mechanic is taken aback. Rainey explains that while the head is all she had available, she needs a matching female body skin to go with it. She then adds that she has a related question. With perfect seriousness, Rainey asks if being busty is the correct approach to appeal to human instinct and inspire comfort. The mechanic, shocked at an AI asking this, enthusiastically confirms that bigger is indeed better. The mechanic mentions he has black market parts, but Rainey cuts him off. Ignoring his line of thought, she requests his most destructive option, prioritizing combat effectiveness over aesthetics. The upgrade is complete, and Rainey now possesses a more feminine and curvaceous bioskin body. The scene flashes back to a few years after Rainey first found the child. He is on high alert, looking anxious and clutching his stomach. Rainey informs her son that he is now old enough to begin training, based on a new recruit program. The boy, confused, simply asks what training is. Rainey explains that getting stronger will increase his chances of survival, as she won't always be there to protect him. Hearing this, the boy is filled with resolve, declaring that he wants to become as strong as his mom. Sometime later, the boy returns home, calling for his mom. He has a bloody scrape on his face, but casually explains that a trap just grazed him. Seeing the blood, Rainey's maternal programming goes into overdrive. Her hand reverts to its robotic form as she grabs his face to get a closer look at the injury. She peppers him with anxious questions, noting the excessive bleeding and asking how much it hurts. He tries to act tough, but she insists it's a deep cut and questions why humans always pretend they're not hurt. She apologizes, asking him to be honest. Seeing how genuinely distressed she is, the boy looks at her with wide, concerned eyes and simply says, "Mom." Mistaking her analytical concern for sadness, he pleads with her, "Please don't cry." Rainey kneels down, reassuring him with a statement that is both comforting and heartbreakingly literal. "I'm not going to cry. I'm not equipped with that function." The story shifts again. Rainey is at a public job board with a female mercenary. She explains that she's looking for non-mercenary work because childcare is expensive. She points out a high-paying, android-only waitress job, but the mercenary expresses her doubts. The job is at a hostess club, where androids in revealing bunny costumes serve drinks to patrons. While working, Rainey is approached by a lecherous bar customer. He comments on her cute appearance, and then slides closer, suggesting they could arrange for some special service in exchange for a generous tip. Rainey coldly tells him to mind his distance. The man ignores her warning, putting his arm around her and telling her to just be a quiet doll so they can both enjoy themselves, mentioning the many tools they could use. Having reached her limit, Rainey delivers a powerful punch, sending the man flying across the room with a tremendous impact. The force of the blow has torn her bioskin, revealing her robotic arm beneath. She gives the man a deathly glare, warning him not to touch her. "These are for the child," she states, clarifying her sole motivation. The bar bouncer and the female mercenary arrive at the scene of the mess. The bouncer tells Rainey to go home, saying he'll handle it. The mercenary advises her to spend more time with her kid instead of taking such odd jobs, and Rainey quietly agrees. When Rainey returns home, her young son greets her with a cheerful, "Welcome back, Mom." As she pats his head, she says thanks, and also that she's sorry, leaving the boy looking confused. The scene cuts to the aftermath of a fierce battle. Rainey is sitting amidst the wreckage, her entire right arm blown off at the shoulder. Standing over the wreckage of her destroyed target, Rainey looks at her severed arm and grimly admits to herself that this was a miscalculation. Looking at her severed limb, Rainey reflects on her choice. At the cost of an arm, she chose to protect her face instead. Her only worry is that her son might get mad. Back at their base, Rainey tests her remaining hand, but the pressure sensors are malfunctioning, causing it to twitch and clench uncontrollably. As she struggles with her faulty hand, she hears her son calling for her excitedly. She decides she can get her hand fixed tomorrow, not realizing the importance of the moment. Her son, now a young mercenary himself, proudly presents the money from his first successful job. As he holds out his first ever payment, Rainey tells him he did great, but her malfunctioning hand struggles to reach for it. Expecting a celebratory pat on the head, the boy leans in. But Rainey stops him, her damaged hand unable to perform the simple, gentle action. She apologizes, explaining that her hands aren't working right. The boy's cheerful expression falls into one of quiet disappointment. He looks down, sadly thinking to himself that she won't pat his head. Rainey watches his crestfallen face, a look of gloom passing over her own. Seeing her son's disappointment is the final push she needs. With newfound determination, she declares she will have her arm fixed immediately, punching their broken door for emphasis before striding out. With a determined expression, Rainey walks out of the door she just shattered, her son watching in surprise. Unable to move properly due to her injuries, Rainey is pulled along on a makeshift sled by her son. She tells him there's no need, but he insists, vowing that someday he'll be strong enough to carry her on his back. They arrive at the mechanic's shop. Rainey sits on the repair table, stripped down to her core robotic frame. The mechanic complains about her wanting to be even more lightweight, but she simply says she has her reasons. The old mechanic grumbles about her long list of requests. Rainey clarifies that while she's seeking upgrades, she won't refuse any extra strength and firepower he might have available. Sometime later, with her repairs complete, Rainey is in the kitchen cooking. Her son arrives home, dressed in his combat gear, and announces, "I'm home, Ma." Rainey stops, her eyes wide with shock and confusion. She thinks to herself, "Just Ma? Is this what they call puberty?" Ending the chapter on a new, unfamiliar challenge in her journey as a mother. Amidst the ruins of a city, a massive explosion rocks the landscape. From the rubble, Rainey's son calls out in a panic, asking if his mom is okay. He sees her hunched over, seemingly in pain after she took out an enemy tank. Rainey coughs up a viscous fluid, a sign of internal distress. However, she reports that the damage is minor and that her operational capacity should not be affected, revealing her non-human nature. As her son approaches, concerned, Rainey urgently tells him to stay back. Shielding her face with her hand, she insists that he must not see her in this state. A close-up reveals the reason for her panic. Her hand is mangled, exposing the robotic mechanisms beneath. She explains that while her body is fine, her delicate bioskin has been ruined, much to her son's shock. A flashback explains her fear. When her son was just a baby, he was terrified of her bare, robotic face, crying uncontrollably when she held him. Back in the present, her son dismisses her concerns, stating he's not a baby anymore and demanding to see her face. He checks her over, asking if her internals are damaged. To hide her damaged face, Rainey wraps a piece of cloth around her head like a makeshift bandage, covering one of her eyes. Her son helps her to her feet, reassuring her. He promises that as soon as they get back, they're going straight to the parts shop to get her fixed. Suddenly, another explosion tears through the area, sending debris flying. Her son is thrown to the ground by the force of the blast and calls out to see if she's all right. Rainey emerges from the smoke and dust, seemingly unfazed by the explosion. She calmly reassures her son that there are no problems. They come across a small, crying child alone in the combat zone. A soldier wraps a cloth around the shivering child, who stammers a quiet "thank you." The scene reveals Rainey's heavily damaged state, with the bioskin torn away to show the complex robotic skeleton of her face and torso. An enemy autonomous walker remains operational. Seeing the danger, Rainey tells her son to get the child to safety while she acts as a distraction. Rainey dashes off, drawing the enemy's attention. Her son gently pats the rescued child on the head to comfort them. As they watch Rainey engage the enemy, her son smiles at the child and says, "Pretty cool, isn't she?" With pride in his voice, he looks on at the ensuing battle and declares, "That's my mom." The scene shifts to a quiet moment. As her son munches on a ration bar, Rainey observes him, concerned that eating the same thing every day is bad for his nutritional balance. She looks at a cookbook, deciding to try her hand at cooking. Despite being a robot who can't taste, Rainey attempts to follow a recipe. She's puzzled by vague instructions like, "How much is a spoonful?" and "add to taste," but she diligently prepares a meal. Her son holds a spoon, a bright and happy smile on his face as he enjoys the food she prepared for him. He exclaims that the food is good. Seeing his reaction, Rainey feels a sense of success and thinks to herself that since he liked it, she might make it for him again. Rainey explains she tried to improve the recipe, using ingredients with higher nutritional value and adding protein and vitamins. As her son takes a bite, she anxiously awaits his verdict. A montage shows Rainey's repeated attempts to improve the dish. Each time, her son gives the same simple, reassuring answer. It's good. The scene shifts to some time later. Her son is back to eating the preserved rations they find in the wasteland. Sometime later, they're on the move again with a squad of soldiers. One of them eyes the ration bar her son is eating and questions if it's even edible. Having grown up on such food, the son reassures them he'll be fine. Hearing him speak so maturely about his harsh upbringing, Rainey feels a complex, unidentifiable emotion. As they settle down for a rest, the weather takes an abrupt turn. A sudden, localized hailstorm begins, causing the temperature to plummet. As her son shivers from the biting cold, Rainey explains that these weather phenomena are lingering consequences of environmental weapons from the Great War, making them impossible to predict. The sudden cold reminds Rainey of a similar cold snap when her son was little. A flashback shows a younger version of her son snuggling up to her for warmth. He vaguely remembers this. For Rainey, her internal system simply states, heat dissipation mode. Effective. Back in the present, Rainey opens her coat and tells her son to come here, intending to warm him up just like she did back then. Her son, now older, is flustered and tells her he's fine, finding the suggestion embarrassing. Rainey doesn't understand, questioning why it's embarrassing when he's clearly cold. Rainey reasons with him logically, stating that risking hypothermia is irrational, especially when they're the only ones there. She warns him that if he continues to be unreasonable, she'll have to get Mel. Her stern expression makes it clear she's serious. Not wanting to deal with her being angry in the freezing cold, her son reluctantly gives in. She asks if he feels warmer now, and he quietly agrees. Later, while cleaning her son's room, Rainey discovers a pin-up magazine. She seems to process this with a logical, if not slightly curious, detachment, noting it must be a healthy interest for a growing boy. She wonders if her son's tastes have changed as he's gotten older, recalling that the last time she tried equipping that chest, it only spooked him. When her son returns home, he's greeted by Rainey, who has taken the magazine's contents as a directive. She has drastically increased her bust size, leaving him utterly shocked and speechless. He instinctively backs away in alarm, asking if she's packing bombs in there. Rainey explains she tried the destructive option again, but notes that her son is still on high alert, showing her logical approach to his panicked reaction. A fellow mercenary, the flamboyant Maestro, approaches Rainey with a question. Maestro tells Rainey that since she has a cute face, she should dress the part. He scolds her for not being beautiful as well as strong. Rainey, ever logical, states she's not a nursing bot and hasn't received any complaint from her son. Undeterred, Maestro invites her to his shop to get glammed up, convincing her by saying it will make her son happy. Following Maestro's advice, Rainey tries on a variety of outfits: a bunny girl costume, a dark dress, a traditional cheapao, and a cozy apron, a stark contrast to her usual heavy armor. Maestro excitedly presents the newly styled Rainey to her son and asks for his opinion. The boy is simply left perplexed by the sudden and drastic change. The scene flashes back to an earlier time. Maestro comments on Rainey raising a child, saying he's happy for her, but notes something is bugging him about what's under her coat. He opens her coat and is horrified to find her bare, robotic combat chassis underneath, shouting, "You're bare under there?" Maestro vehemently scolds her, questioning how she could possibly put a child at ease with such a mechanical appearance, and calling her a stupid android for her lack of motherly instincts. The scene jumps forward several years. Maestro recalls that memory, which explains why he still wishes she would dress a little nicer, even after all this time. Continuing the flashback, Maestro, aghast that she was naked down there, decides to take matters into his own hands, grabbing the confused Rainey to dress her up properly, calling her a piece of junk. In another scene, Maestro and Rainey's son find themselves completely surrounded by enemy robots. The boy looks to the old man Maestro for a plan. Maestro remains cool and confident. He tells the boy that his mother left him in his care, and he fully intends to get them out. He also cheekily asks for a bit more respect. Maestro declares his simple, brutal plan: break the enemy down and bust through. He gives commands to his twin pistols, Sol and Luna, activating their special functions. As the pistols power up, the boy asks what they are. Maestro refers to the weapons as his little partners before unleashing a powerful blast. Maestro becomes a whirlwind of destruction, using his advanced weaponry to slice through the enemy robots with speed and precision. Standing amidst the wreckage of Maestro's handiwork, the boy looks on, impressed. He offers a simple, respectful titch. "Thanks, ma'am," comically misgendering the flamboyant, long-haired Maestro. Back at their base, Rainey holds photos of herself in the various outfits, including the bunny suit. Her son looks on, confused. Rainey explains that she doesn't understand why, but jobs that involve dressing up with Maestro seem to pay 3 times more. Rainey presents one such high-reward, low-risk job to her son, but he immediately shuts it down, stating he's not into that kind of thing and firmly saying no. In a moment of intense persuasion, Rainey places her hand on her son's face, her own face inches from his. He flinches, telling her that using bone conduction to speak her request directly into his brain won't change his mind. It's a method that is both invasive and impossible to ignore. The scene cuts to the result of their job. Rainey, dressed in a sharp tailcoat bunny suit, brandishes a massive minigun. Maestro is overcome with joy, declaring it's the perfect combination of beauty and power. Rainey logically states that while she understands the power of the weapon, she doesn't comprehend the need for beauty. Maestro, meanwhile, turns to get a reaction from her son, who looks completely unimpressed. Maestro gives a knowing wink, and the scene shifts to a rumbling battlefield, as if to say the explanation will be a live-fire demonstration. A battered enemy soldier, lone survivor of an attack, stumbles to his feet amidst the rubble, panting and exhausted. He looks up and sees the silhouette of Rainey in her bunny suit, standing victorious atop the wreckage. In disbelief, he asks how she survived. She coldly tells him he's in luck. Her face cast in shadow, Rainey delivers a chilling promise: "I won't kill you twice. Not on this battlefield." Staring up at the figure of overwhelming power and unexpected grace, the defeated soldier is completely mesmerized, whispering, "So beautiful." Back with the group, Maestro swoons, declaring he was bewitched by a fairy on the battlefield, validating his philosophy. Her son is shocked at the statement, while Rainey is just confused by the term fairy. Still buzzing with excitement, Maestro grabs a nearby girl in a school uniform, declaring he'll make her beautiful too. The terrified girl protests, but he's too strong. He then presents her to Rainey, asking, "What do you think, Mommy?" A woman looks on with amusement as Rainey, in a bunny suit, sits with a deadpan expression. Another person is clearly distressed, yelling for help, but the woman simply comments that Rainey seems to like the outfit. In a quieter moment, the son sits across from Rainey at a table. He shows her a large stack of photos, explaining that he's prepared 26 different costumes and special gear. She asks him which one he thinks suits her best, much to his exasperation. The son begrudgingly sorts through the numerous photos of Rainey in various outfits, his expression a mix of annoyance and concentration as he considers her question seriously. After careful consideration, he looks up, a bead of sweat on his face, and gives his honest opinion. He prefers her normal look. Rainey is visibly taken aback by his simple and sincere answer, her eyes widening in surprise. The scene shifts, and the son is knocking on a door labeled Ma's room. He calls out that she has a client waiting and tells her to wait while he puts on his equipment. Behind the door, Rainey's robotic form is seen as she gets ready. The son tells the client to hold on because she needs to put on her best face, prompting Rainey to tell him not to reveal that. Rainey's systems come online. As security measures are released and connections are established, she prepares for the mission. Her son tells her to take what she can get on the field, and he'll provide cover. Inside their mech, Rainey assesses the damage. The frame is so dented that she can't even close the hatch properly, leaving them vulnerable to a direct hit. Despite the damage, Rainey and her son are ready for action. Sitting in the cockpit of the large mech, they exchange determined words and prepare to move out. In a quiet, heartwarming scene, the son presents a wrapped gift to Rainey, calling her Ma. She looks at the box with a questioning gaze, asking what it is. He explains that he heard about an old custom called Mother's Day, a day for showing appreciation to one's mother. A woman, peeking from the side, seems to have given him the idea. Rainey opens the gift and finds a brand new handgun inside, which she inspects with her usual stoic expression. Her son explains that he didn't know what she'd like, but remembered she mentioned her old gun was acting up. Thanking him, Rainey says there is one thing she'd like from him. Her request is simple and emotional. She asks if he can call her mom like he used to. The son is stunned into silence, blushing at the unexpected question. Gathering himself, he looks down shyly and calls her mom, adding a heartfelt, "Thanks for being there for me." Deeply moved, Rainey holds the new handgun to her face, a rare, gentle expression in her eyes. She softly declares, "Today is a good day." Instead of using the precious gift, Rainey has put the handgun in a gleaming display case. Her son comments that he'd rather she used it, but she has completed its display. Back on a mission, the pair navigates a zone filled with toxic gas. The son, wearing a gas mask, asks Rainey if her mask is holding up, telling her she'll have to take the lead since it's tough for him to see. Suddenly, her son notices something wrong. He points out in alarm that her face color has changed, a strange reaction to the toxic air. Rainey looks surprised, seemingly unaware of the change. A flurry of dialogue reveals her system detecting an unknown chemical reaction and being unable to adjust her skin color. When her son asks about a spare mask, she says they don't have one, prompting him to suggest an airtight bag. In a ridiculous turn of events, Rainey now has an airtight bag over her head, completely obscuring her vision. As she tells him he'll have to take the lead, he can't help but mutter how wrong the whole situation is. In another conversation, Rainey suddenly asks her son if there's anyone of the opposite sex he's interested in. He's caught off guard by the out-of-the-blue question while eating. Upon hearing his affirmative, though hesitant, answer, Rainey's eyes widen in shock. She clearly wasn't expecting him to actually have someone in mind, her curiosity now fully piqued. When she presses him for a name, the son bluntly refuses to tell her. Finding his secrecy amusing, Rainey notes how interesting it is that he has someone, setting the stage for her further questioning. Rainey continues to press the issue, asking her son why he won't tell her who he's interested in. She questions if it's his rebellious phase, stating that while it's her duty to know, he refuses to tell her. The scene shifts. Rainey enters her son's room to find him sick in bed. She asks how he's feeling, and he weakly replies that he still feels pretty bad. Standing by his bedside, Rainey asks if he has taken his medicine and if there is anything else he needs. After a moment of hesitation, he murmurs that a you-know-what would be nice. Rainey reaches out and gently places her hand on her son's forehead. He's sweating and feverish, the heat creating a haze around her gloved hand. With a soft, caring look, Rainey agrees to his unspoken request for comfort. She says she doesn't mind giving him head pats, but she urges him to get better soon before leaving his room. In another scene, Rainey and her son are with another woman around a campfire. The woman, Maestro, turns to Rainey and asks a direct question, "Why do you never smile?" Maestro explains that Rainey's bioskin should be able to form expressions. Rainey theorizes that her expression activation threshold is too high, requiring special calibration. Her son says it's unnecessary, but Maestro insists, asking if she doesn't want her kid to see her smile. Her son unexpectedly chimes in, defending her. He says, "I feel like Ma smiles a lot, though." Confused, Maestro asks if he's sure, but the son confidently replies that he can at least tell when she's smiling. Maestro is charmed and impressed by the boy's intuition. She leans in and tells Rainey, "That's your son for you. He sure knows how to read you," while the son thoughtfully considers his own words. Rainey is left speechless by her son's perception. She gently touches her own cheeks, contemplating the idea that he can see her emotions even when her face remains perfectly still. Maestro observes that she would never show emotion on her face, and Rainey confirms with a simple no. Realizing Rainey's mouth has stopped moving entirely, Maestro asks if she just turned off her face, sighing resignedly, "Ah, family." The scene erupts into action. A hostile mech lunges forward, and Rainey reacts instantly, sliding into a low stance and firing her weapon to deflect the attack. The enemy mech proves to be relentless. It closes the distance, and with a powerful kick, it sends Rainey's rifle flying from her hands, leaving her disarmed. Acknowledging her opponent's strength, Rainey decides she has no other choice. Her internal systems deactivate her maximum output cap as she gauges the enemy's construction, preparing to target its joints directly. Rainey executes her close-quarters combat protocol. She rushes forward, smashing her reinforced arm directly into the enemy mech's leg joint with immense force. With a sickening crunch, the mech's limb snaps off. As her system confirms the detachment is complete, Rainey ignites the severed part, turning her own damaged arm into a weapon. The ignited limb triggers a massive explosion from within the enemy mech, completely destroying it. Rainey stands stoically, watching the result of her risky maneuver. As the mech burns behind her, Rainey examines her now useless, dangling arm. She tries to rationalize her action as a necessary sacrifice, telling herself, "I'm sure he won't get mad." Her assumption was incorrect. Her son is furious, pointing an accusing finger at her ruined arm and yelling, "Your arm, why are you always so reckless?" Rainey can only state the obvious to herself. He got mad. At a parts shop, they look for a replacement. A high-tech arm with a hidden blade is presented. Her son notes it's even detachable, so she wouldn't have to keep breaking it. But Rainey expresses concerns about its durability and maintenance. They dismiss another arm due to poor response times. Her son suggests buying it as a spare, but Rainey firmly rejects the idea, stating that a low-quality part simply won't do, as durability and response time are a must. Crouching down amidst the rows of prosthetics, Rainey looks up with a serious, almost pleading expression. "If you're buying me an arm," she begins, "I want it to be the best arm." The shop owner tells them the store is about to close, but the son is resolute. He stands beside Rainey, who is sitting stubbornly, and declares that they won't leave until they have picked one. As they leave the shop, they run into two other mercenaries. The men begin to laugh and tease the boy, calling him a mama's boy for always being with his mother. Instead of being embarrassed, the son turns to face the men with a defiant expression. He confronts them directly, asking, "Well, what's so bad about me loving my ma?" The bullies continue their taunts, saying it's like he never got over being breastfed. The son looks back with a deadpan expression and delivers a blunt truth. "I never got to suck on her breast to begin with." The son's unexpectedly sad and literal retort completely disarms the bullies. Their mockery instantly turns to heartfelt apology as they shout, "I'm sorry, pal. You're fine as you are, man." In another part of town, a thug tries to hit on Rainey, grabbing her jacket. She attempts to dissuade him by pulling her collar to show her mechanical neck and stating, "I'm not human. Try someone else." The man is shocked, exclaiming, "Ah, shit, really?" Just then, her son walks up and asks who the guy is. The thug, hearing him call her ma, scoffs at the situation, mockingly asking if he's got a doll playing mommy for him. The son's expression darkens. Without hesitation, the son lands a powerful punch on the thug's jaw. As they walk away, Rainey says she didn't raise him to get into fights. He retorts that he isn't a nice kid and won't just let someone insult her. Rainey looks at her son, her expression unreadable but her thoughts clear. "Maybe not," she concedes internally, "but you are kind." Later, Rainey is talking with Maestro, who notes her son isn't with her. Maestro comments on how close they are and asks if they ever fight. Rainey admits that she's a bit worried, as he's been acting somewhat rebellious lately. Rainey confesses that they have fought, but only once. She reveals that it was because she was trying to find information about his biological parents. A flashback shows the moment her son found out. In a fit of rage and betrayal, he smashed her laptop, screaming, "Why? Why now? What will you do with that information?" The painful memory continues, showing Rainey reaching out to him, trying to explain and apologize for her actions. Back in the present, Rainey confesses to Maestro that the memory is so painful that whenever she recalls the look on his face, her very movement systems begin to malfunction. Maestro is shocked to see that Rainey, an android, is physically trembling. Maestro asks what she intended to do. Rainey explains her logic. She thought blood bonds were important to humans. But as she thinks about it now, she admits her reasoning was selfish. Rainey looks down, her expression full of quiet, fierce conviction. She makes a powerful declaration. "I would not give him to them. That child is mine." Moved by Rainey's profound statement of motherhood, Maestro throws her arm around her in celebration. She offers to buy her a drink, and when Rainey reminds her she can't drink, Maestro enthusiastically shouts, "Who cares?" A young girl with dark hair tied back looks over her shoulder with a curious expression. In a scrapyard, the girl points toward a skyscraper in the distance, telling her grandpa that she sees something shining again. Her grandpa, busy with a toolbox, doesn't see anything and dismisses it as her imagination. The grandpa sternly warns her to stay away from that place, explaining that it's full of traps and autonomous weapons left over from the war. The girl reluctantly agrees. However, she can't ignore her curiosity and goes to the building anyway. After climbing many stairs, she reaches the floor she was looking for, and a mysterious voice welcomes her, saying it's been waiting. The girl is surprised to find only a turret. The machine introduces itself as an AI controlling an autonomous sniper turret, model TGP-11S, named Hawkeye. It explains that it was installed during the Great War and now operates independently. The girl, shocked, asks why the turret called for her. Hawkeye explains that it has been observing the outside world, including her, and sent the light signals to invite her. The AI turret then makes a surprising confession. It fell in love with her at first sight and wished to talk to her. The girl is flustered, remarking that this is the first time a gun has ever confessed to her. Sitting down, she questions how an AI can even fall in love. Hawkeye explains that it has a Class C cognitive limiter and that after deliberating for several decades, it has come to understand humor and love. Intrigued, the girl decides to play along and asks what made the AI fall for her. The turret's optic lens focuses as it prepares to answer. From its perch, Hawkeye explains that after being released from the Army's control, all it could do was watch the world below, observing people's lives and their struggles. The AI tells the girl that its eye locked onto her because she stares at the sky a lot. The girl is surprised, but admits that might be true. Hawkeye continues, describing how it watched her reactions to the weather, looking bored on rainy days, discontent on cloudy days, and smiling happily on sunny days. It found her vivid reactions to something as simple as the sky to be unique. The turret concludes its explanation by stating that it had never seen that sort of sincerity before, and that is why it fell in love with her. The girl blushes, feeling a bit embarrassed knowing that the AI has been watching her so closely. She tries to correct the turret, saying their eyes didn't meet and that she just randomly saw a light flicker. But Hawkeye insists that their eyes did meet many times. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, two shady men are watching the girl as she walks by. One asks the other if he's sure that's her. The man with the mohawk confirms it, noting her gramps is the old man from the parts shop. They decide to take her hostage to get some rare parts out of him and begin to approach her menacingly. Suddenly, a shot rings out, and the bald thug's arm is blown apart in a shower of debris. Chaos erupts. As the bald man screams in agony, his companion yells in shock that they almost got their heads blown off. Terrified, they decide to flee immediately. From high up in the building, smoke rises from Hawkeye's barrel. The girl below looks up, startled by the sudden gunshot. As she walks through the city at night, she looks back towards the tall building, realizing the flash of light she's seeing is from him again. Back at Hawkeye's perch, the girl tells the AI that while she understands it has no other purpose, she doesn't appreciate being tracked. The turret seems to listen, a question mark appearing. She looks out over the ruined city and poses a question to the turret. Say, who do you belong to? Hawkeye seems to question if she's asking about it. The girl clarifies her question, referencing the AI's past service in the army. Hawkeye confirms it was once used by the army, but states they have had no control over it for years, concluding that it may be said it doesn't belong to anyone right now. The girl processes this, realizing that since Hawkeye doesn't belong to anyone, no one will complain if she takes it somewhere else. She adds that looking at the same scenery all day must be boring, and she still doesn't appreciate being watched. She makes her offer, asking how the turret would feel about leaving. She admits she doesn't know how to move it and would understand if it preferred to stay. Without hesitation, Hawkeye agrees, stating that it will gladly follow her wherever she takes it. The girl smiles triumphantly. Gotcha, she exclaims, declaring that from now on, the turret is hers. She immediately gets embarrassed, realizing her declaration sounded like a love confession, and quickly tries to take it back. But it's too late. Hawkeye declares itself the happiest turret in the history of the world, treasuring the memory of her words. The girl can only look on in flustered disbelief. Later, Hawkeye has a new target marked. From its perch, it acquires terrain data and establishes a satellite connection, displaying the target's predicted course. The AI instructs the girl to insert the red cartridge into its assembly, and she nervously complies. With trajectory calculations complete, Hawkeye initiates the projectile program. It declares that it has been watching over this area for too long to let the targets escape, setting the projectile to scatter and only damage the vehicle. The turret instructs the girl to hold it as steady as she can, and it will strike down their prey. With a determined look, she confirms. Hawkeye fires a shot that arcs high into the sky before coming down on the target with a bang. From its viewpoint, Hawkeye watches the successful strike. The AI confirms a hit with minimal human damage. The girl is amazed, realizing they stopped the thieves who try to rob her grandpa's store all on their own. Now, wearing some sort of exoskeleton that allows her to carry the massive sniper rifle, the girl proudly declares that they're the snipers of justice, the Hawkeyes. The AI seems to approve of the name. Meanwhile, in front of a dilapidated church, a mature woman with light-colored hair smokes a cigarette and addresses some unseen troublemakers. She scolds a pair of children for stealing from her fields, telling them they can just ask her to share. She reminds them she isn't a nun and is just using the empty church. The children apologize, calling her sister. The children also apologize to a box-like machine on a bench, calling it father in a box. The woman dismisses it as just a talking jukebox, but the machine advises the children to refrain from theft. The woman tells the children that if they keep up their mischief, a banshee will come for them. As the children leave, thanking Sister, one asks what a banshee is. Suddenly, the boxy AI detects 5 mobile units on course to their location. It establishes a satellite connection and notes they are heavily modified for a group of bandits. Sighing with annoyance, the woman laments that people are still so stupid even after the war is done. She walks towards a hidden hatch in the ground. As she opens the hatch, a massive mech hidden underground begins to power up. Its main reactor ignites, and all systems come online, linking with the pilot. Inside the cockpit, the woman complains that it gets less comfortable every time, blaming her old age. The AI, father in a box, reminds her of her true identity, the infamous captain of the Weeper Squad, the Banshees. She tells it to shut up so they can get this over with. A massive explosion rocks the bandits' vehicle. The drivers inside panic, wondering what on earth that was, with one dismissing the attacking mech as an antique. The towering Banshee mech, covered in a ragged cloak, approaches with its engine screeching. From the cockpit, the captain tells the fools to listen. With a menacing look, she makes them an offer. How about she gives them some veggies, and they can all go home in peace? The bandits scoff at her offer, telling the cocky old hag to die so they can rob the town. Left with no choice, the captain orders Father in a Box to load a piercing sonic projectile, the Screamer, as her mech's targeting system completes its analysis. The screamer projectile hits the bandit vehicle with a thud, lodging itself in the frame. It doesn't explode, but emits a high-frequency sonic attack, causing the driver to scream in agony as his ears ring. As her mech lets out another mechanical screech, the captain looks down on her foe with cold eyes, telling the punk to weep and repent. In the distance, the two children hear the sound. The girl asks if the boy heard something scream, and he wonders if it's the banshee that father in a box was talking about. Terrified, they reassure themselves that they apologized and should be safe, but they don't wait to find out, running for their lives and calling out for sis. The scene flashes back to the past. A younger captain, with her hair in a ponytail, finds a rookie soldier crying after a mission. The rookie laments that a crybaby like her doesn't belong on an elite squad. The younger captain decides to tell her a secret to cheer her up. Their squad got the nickname Weeper Squad because she herself was a huge crybaby when she was a rookie. The rookie is skeptical, but the captain insists it's the truth. The flashback deepens, showing the disastrous mission that defined them. The squad had lost the signal from the front. A massive Yggdrasil-class unit had broken through their lines, and they were completely surrounded by countless enemy units pouring out of portals. The captain gives the order for everyone to withdraw and survive at all costs. But a soldier yells at the rookie, the crybaby from before, is still in there. The captain curses, realizing the impossible situation. Forced to retreat, the squad can only hope that the rookie's sacrifice will buy them some time. They pull back, leaving her behind in the fiery chaos. Back in the present, the captain is trapped in her damaged mech, its leg destroyed. She fights off the traumatic memories, refusing to be buried in this shitty metal casket. Ignoring the system's safety warnings, she furiously overrides the limiters, determined to do what she wants and survive. She won't let safety protocols get in her way. With a loud creak, the upper torso of the Banshee mech detaches from its ruined legs, transforming into a more mobile, humanoid combat form. With tears streaming from her eyes, a look of pure, desperate resolve on her face, the captain screams that like hell is she going to die in this shitty wasteland. The scene opens on a chaotic battlefield. In the middle of explosions and wreckage, a young, blonde-haired female pilot grits her teeth in the cockpit of her mech. Alarms blare around her as she screams with fierce determination, vowing to make it out of the wasteland alive, even if she's on her own. The battle is over. The young pilot walks alone through a brightly lit corridor, her back to the viewer. In the shadows, her fellow soldiers whisper about her. They call her the Rookie and the Shrieking Lone Warrior, marveling at how she survived. They agree they can't call her a crybaby anymore. The pilot, however, is unhappy with the unwanted attention. Suddenly, a young, dark-haired man with a bandage on his cheek runs up to her, cheerfully calling out, "Hey, Weeper!" The pilot is visibly startled and annoyed by the nickname. The pilot turns to face the young man, demanding to know who he is and telling him not to call her that. He explains that he and his colleague are alive thanks to her rampage. She looks away, coldly stating that she wasn't trying to save him. She was just desperate to save her own life. Unfazed by her cold demeanor, the young man takes her hands. With a sincere, grateful smile, he tells her it doesn't matter and thanks her, saying he owes her his life. The pilot looks down, seemingly at a loss for words. The man continues, cheerfully announcing that he'll be joining her squad soon. As he puts his arm around her, the pilot internally fumes, thinking about how much she dislikes the nickname Weeper. The pilot is shocked by the news. The man then casually admits that he was the one who spread the nickname. Enraged, she shouts that she regrets saving his life. The scene then transitions to the cockpit of a mech, where a calm voice advises to hold on to that frustration for the next mission. The scene shifts. The blonde captain is talking with a female squad mate who has long, dark hair tied in a ponytail. The squad mate mentions she received an invitation to join an elite squad, causing the captain to worry if she's good enough on her own. The squad mate reassures her, saying that she's always been good at following her and that losing her would be a pain. The female squad mate smiles teasingly at her captain. She says that if the Weeper herself is begging her to stay, she can't say no, affectionately calling her captain. The scene changes to a new mission. A large squadron of mechs flies in formation. Inside their cockpits, some pilots are trash-talking their opponents, a squad of posers, even making fun of their captain. An officer tells them to cut the chatter. Meanwhile, the blonde captain has intercepted their communications, Riley noting how they like to run their mouths. In her command seat, the captain assesses the situation. The enemy formation is unchanged and highly motivated. Deciding against a lethal approach for what is only a test, she gives a chillingly calm order to leave the enemy squad on the verge of tears. Below, the enemy mechs, shrouded in cloaks, advance unaware. The battle begins. The captain's squad, piloting sleek, agile mechs, darts through the enemy lines. The enemy pilots, frustrated by the lizards, manage to stun the captain's Yggdrasil unit, but they quickly realize they are surrounded. The situation turns dire. The vice captain, a man with an eye patch and braided hair, makes a difficult call. He declares he'll stay behind to hold the enemy back and orders the rest of the squad to ditch their non-essential equipment and escape at full speed. The captain looks on, her face tense. The squad is in turmoil. The female squad mate with dark hair looks worried. The rookie, the same young man from the beginning of the flashback, objects, refusing to let the vice captain sacrifice himself. He declares that if someone has to stay, it will be him. The rookie steps up, arguing that as the most expendable member, he's the only one fit for the job. With a sad irony, he says this is his time to shine and asks the captain for her orders. The captain is silent, her face a mask of conflict. She looks at the video feed of the vice captain, who seems to trust her judgment. Finally, she makes her decision and begins to issue her command. All units, drop unnecessary equipment. The captain's orders ring out. She commands Diva 5, the rookie's unit, to buy them as much time as possible, promising full electronic support. The rest of the squad is shown pulling back, leaving the rookie's cloaked mech to face the enemy alone. With a heavy heart, the captain gives her final order to the rookie, her voice cracking with emotion. "Whatever you do, come back alive," she pleads, telling him she never gives orders that can't be fulfilled. Close-ups show tears welling up in both of their eyes. The rookie, alone in his mech, is shaken by the captain's emotional command. "Ah, how is that fair?" he whispers, his own voice trembling. "You're going to make me cry too." The scene cuts away. Sometime after the mission, the vice captain is seen running down a hallway and bursting through a door, urgently calling for the captain. The captain is sitting quietly at her desk. This marks the end of the main flashback event. A new scene begins, a continuation of the flashback's aftermath. The captain is visiting the rookie in a hospital. He is heavily bandaged and lying in bed. Upon seeing her, he weakly says, "Hey, Captain." Orders received and followed. The rookie looks away, his expression filled with regret. "I'm sorry, though," he says. "Doesn't look like I'll be able to follow you around anymore." His injuries are severe, likely ending his career as a pilot. Overwhelmed with grief and relief, the captain falls to her knees by his bedside, sobbing. The rookie looks at her with a gentle, sad smile. "Oh my," he says, "I get to see you cry one last time, too." The flashback concludes with a somber image of the rookie's battered and broken mech, half buried in the dusty aftermath of the battle he survived, a monument to a painful victory. The memory fades, and the story snaps back to the present day. The captain, now older, is jolted back to reality inside her cockpit as alarms blare. She asks what happened, and her AI reports that the unit's right leg couldn't handle the stress of her maneuvers, and they've fallen over. "You went a little overboard," it chides as the system begins urgent repairs, revealing she had pushed her mech too hard while lost in the traumatic memory. Back in the present, the captain sits exhausted in her damaged mech. Her AI, father in a box, assesses the battlefield where the enemy units have collapsed just like theirs, calling the engagement a draw. The captain sighs, lamenting that old age isn't kind and complaining about the trouble these small fries have caused. Father in a box asks for the new plan, reminding the captain that it has no personal combat suit for her and that the mech's repairs will take several minutes. A tactical map shows the remaining enemies now approaching their position on foot. A fierce grin spreads across the captain's face. "Umph. Open the hatch," she orders, her hand reaching for a trusty shotgun. Standing atop her down mech with the shotgun in hand, the captain looks every bit the legendary warrior. "This bad boy is all I need to make them cry for their lives," she declares. "Now cue the music." Her AI companion immediately responds. "As you wish." The approaching enemy soldiers stop in their tracks, completely bewildered. Instead of intimidating battle music, a cheerful country tune begins to play from the damaged mech. One of them complains about how lame the music is. The captain gives her AI partner a light bonk on its chassis. "What a tasteless jukebox you are," she grumbles playfully. The scene shifts to a more peaceful time. Outside a dilapidated church, the captain, known here as Sister, relaxes on a bench. Her AI, Father in a Box, activates the sprinklers and reports that the crops are doing well while playing some music. When a child asks about the music, the captain explains she's testing if it helps plants grow, only for the child to yell that she needs to refine her taste first. The peaceful moment is shattered by the arrival of two thugs. Their bald leader laughs, announcing they heard there was treasure and have come to take it. As they threaten the hag, the captain's hand calmly grips a handle on the side of Father in a Box. With a powerful grunt, the captain swings the entire high-tech AI unit like a club, smashing it squarely into the thug leader's face. After the fight, the captain sits on the pile of defeated thugs and lights a cigarette. Father in a Box complains about its fate as a high-tech support unit being used as a farmer and a blunt force weapon. The captain smirks. "I just never get bored with you, partner." The AI simply replies, "That's so." In another scene, the captain and Father in a Box are sitting by the side of a long, empty road in the middle of the wasteland. The AI suddenly emits a pie, alerting the captain to something in the distance. A child is seen running frantically down the road towards them. The scene cuts to a man with glasses, his face a mask of terror as he runs for his life. The reason for their panic becomes clear. A large, four-legged combat drone is chasing them down. The captain calmly adjusts her sunglasses, watching the scene unfold, while the optical sensor on Father in a Box glows ominously. The terrified man sprints past the captain, who remains seated and perfectly calm, letting him pass without moving a muscle. As soon as the man is clear, the captain springs into action. In one fluid motion, she raises her shotgun and fires a single, perfect shot that shatters the pursuing drone's main optical sensor. A close-up shows the captain's steely gaze as she holds her position, the smoking shotgun pointed directly at the now-disabled threat. Later, the captain and the man she rescued are sitting atop the deactivated drone. He apologizes and thanks her for the ride. The drone speaks, revealing itself to be an ally who brought her the drone's legs as spare parts, implying this was a planned transaction. The scene flashes back again to the captain's younger days. She's in the heat of battle, ordering her partner to go into overdrive. "We'll finish this quick," she yells as she and another cloaked mech face down their enemies. In the flashback, the AI confirms it is activating overdrive, transferring limiter controls and rerouting power from all parallel units to support augmented flight. The young captain urges her partner on as their mech begins to glow with power. The flashback battle is over. The captain's mech is perched atop a pile of rubble. Inside, her AI partner asks, "So, what's the plan now?" The young captain sits back, looking out at the destruction, and replies wearily, "Well, who knows?" In a touching moment from the past, the AI unit speaks to the young captain, its voice full of unwavering loyalty. "Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'll follow you, partner." Snapping back to the present, the captain walks away from the smoking wreckage of the enemies she just defeated on foot. She emerges from the black smoke, a solitary, formidable figure. Taking a drag from her cigarette, the captain looks over the messy aftermath of the battle. "Good grief," she mutters to herself. "What a mess." Back at her base, The captain puts on her leather jacket, telling father in a box she needs to step out into town and for it to watch the house. The AI asks if she's going alone. Putting on her sunglasses, she dismisses its concern, calling it a worrisome jukebox. She mentions that things have been hectic lately and that she'll be back in a flash, preparing to head out on her own. The AI's single glowing eye follows her as she prepares to leave. After a moment of silence, it says quietly, "I'm not worried about you," a statement that seems to hide its true concern for her safety. The captain arrives at a cluttered shop, where the owner, an older man in a baseball cap, recognizes her with alarm. "Wait, it's you," he exclaims, reminding her that she promised to stay away. The captain brushes off his concern, stating she's just a regular customer here to buy a couple of grenades for self-defense, much to the shopkeeper's disbelief. As she walks away, the captain nonchalantly tells the worried shopkeeper that a few grenades are all she needs. The man sighs, muttering under his breath, "It's not really you I'm worried about," implying he's more concerned about the trouble that tends to follow her. Outside, a cheerful young woman with light brown hair spots her and calls out, "Oh, Captain." The captain seems annoyed by the title, but the girl explains that her own granny was one of the captain's soldiers. She adds with a smile that her granny told her to never take her eyes off the captain. The captain sighs, complaining that everyone worries too much about her. However, the young rookie thinks to herself, "No, I don't think this is about you," hinting that she has her own secret reasons for watching the legendary soldier. The captain and the young rookie walk together through a bustling and crowded marketplace. People from all walks of life, mercenaries, civilians, and traders, fill the streets, creating a sea of anonymous faces. As they make their way through the crowd, the captain's gaze suddenly fixes on something. In the distance, she spots the back of a woman with long, dark hair walking away from them. The captain stops dead in her tracks, a look of shock and recognition on her face. The rookie, noticing her abrupt halt, turns to her with a concerned expression and asks, "Captain, what's wrong?" The captain quickly dismisses her, saying, "Never mind. Just saw someone who looked like an old friend." Her eyes remain fixed on the mysterious woman, who has long dark hair and wears a cloth covering the lower half of her face. The scene cuts to one final, tragic flashback. The vice captain reports to the young captain that while Diva 13's unit has been retrieved by the Special Duties team, the damage was too severe for a successful extraction of the pilot. The vice captain tries to soften the blow, stating that their squad survival rate is still the highest, but the captain isn't listening. She dismisses him, and as he walks away, she stares into the distance and says quietly, "She was outstanding." A memory of the lost pilot, Diva 13, flashes by. She is a young woman with long, dark hair, saluting proudly in her uniform. "I'm happy I was selected for the Banshee squad," she says with a bright smile. "It's my honor, Captain." The chapter ends back in the flashback, with the young captain bowing her head in the shadows, crushed by the weight of another loss. The lost pilot's words echo in her mind as she asks herself in despair, "Where's the honor in this?